Stay there. All right, Chef Amundi here, Charlie Amundi. Going to start my persuasive speech. I have two audience members. Let me introduce them. And over there's Greg. Hi, Greg.
Hello.
And over here is a real person named Jessica. How you doing, Jessica? Good. All right. I'm going to get ready and start this speech here. Okay. Thank you. All right, I'm about ready. Hi, I'm Charlie Amundi, and everybody knows that recycling is for waste. But what you don't know, it's a waste of time. That's right. You know, we've all seen these green boxes lining the streets filled with things like, plastic bottles, plastic bags, cans, papers, cardboard. And even in elementary school now, we get it pounded into us. Recycle, recycle, recycle. We see it on TV. We read about it in the newspapers. In fact, it's even on the back of some of these products. Recycle. Please be sure to recycle. Well, you know, one day I've never been much of a recycler. I really am not. And one day I decided to think about that. You know, I go home. I'm tired. I don't want to separate all my stuff. I just want to throw it in one place and be done with it. I don't want to be rinsing out bottles. And then one time I was watching TV, and I happened to see a special on polar bears. And the polar bears were suffering from global warming. The ice caps are melting, and they're running out of room to live and prosper. So I decided to look into it and say, what could I do to make the polar bears a little bit happier? You know, I'm a big animal lover anyway. So I decided to look online, and I came across recycling. In fact, I came across an article on recycling. And let me tell you, after reading the article, I will never recycle again, and neither should you. The article I came across was actually called 8 Great Myths of Recycling. And this was written by a professor called Daniel Benjamin. And he's a professor at the Clemson University, economics professor, and he also served for Ronald Reagan's administration as a economic advisor. So he has good credibility. And some of the things that he says to rebut most of which is said about recycling is pretty accurate, and it's backed up by data, which is pretty good. And I want to share with you a few of these myths. Here's number 1. Too much trash, nowhere to put it. You know, we have less garbage than we ever have because packaging has shrunk. We actually don't have all of that packaging anymore. We buy things in bigger quantities. We build cars with less metal, so we don't have to store that in a landfill anymore. We're using plastics and fiberglass. We build our bridges out of concrete. We use less metal than we ever have. We don't have to store that anywhere. We have less. And since we have less, we need less room to bury it. Now, one of the fallacies is we're going to run out of place for landfills. Well, let me show you a picture. There you go. You know what that's a picture of? That's a picture of one of Ted Turner's ranches. This is in Montana. Did you know that we have enough room on that one ranch to take all of the garbage for the next 100 years for America and store it there in a landfill? And Ted Turner would still have 50,000 acres left for his bison. That's right. Landfills equal pollution. Pollution like methane gas, water runoff, global warming, even cancer we hear about. Well, maybe that was the case with old landfills. You know, because landfills used to be built on swamps and land that nobody wanted. But today, they are state-of-the-art in landfills. They even have drainage systems. They have inventory. You know, I watched a crime show one day. And somebody had killed somebody and put their body in a dumpster. The dumpster ended up getting hauled off to the dump. And the cops kind of narrowed it down. And did you know? They were able to go to the landfill because they kept a log of the truck where it had dumped. They went 40 feet deep in the landfill, found the body. And you know what? The body was immaculate. It had no suffering from any toxic chemicals at all. And you know, it's not a landfill's problem being toxic, it's the people that throw toxic stuff away. You know, we can't throw car batteries, we can't throw acids and chemicals and mineral spirits and paints away. It's our own problem. It has nothing to do with the landfill. And most water runoffs, those are mostly concerned with factories who are just not taking care of their product. They're just dumping into a river that happens to be located in their factory. In fact, cancer, which always seems to come up with some of this global warming and some of these methane gases being released, it was an EPA study by an ecological firm called Gold, Ames, and Sloan in 2006. And you know what they found? They found out that more people died from cancer eating lettuce, pears, and celery than all of the landfills combined in the United States. There is no EPA evidence that supports landfills are dangerous. In fact, landfills are beneficial. You ever been to LaGuardia Airport? How about San Francisco Bay Area? Hopefully not Rikers Island Prison. Those are all built on landfills. Myth number 3. Our natural resources are running out. Save the trees, oil prices, gas prices. You know, here's a fact. America has always run on one concept, supply and demand. You know, in this country, we need virgin trees, meaning we need a tree, we need to cut it down because we need that virgin wood. But you know what? If we didn't need it, we wouldn't plant them. So, about Christmas. I like a Christmas tree every year, a real one. I don't like fake trees. If I didn't buy a real Christmas tree, they wouldn't plant it. In fact, they grow more trees than we ever needed. Right now, 5 to 1. For every one you take, they grow 5. And is there really an oil shortage? Or is this just like a small group of people that have a lot of money who control all these things? And gas prices, yeah, they're high, but you know what? They're always in line with inflation. When I was 16, I made $1.60 an hour. Gas was 60 cents a gallon. All right, that's about 37% of my income. Now, minimum wage, almost $8. Gas is $3.75 a gallon today. That's about the same when you adjust with inflation. It's the same thing. And as far as these rainforests are concerned, global warming, you know, it's all you hear, they're killing the rainflowers. No, we're not. You know who's killing rainflowers? Government is killing rainflowers. You know why? Because they're selling them off to private industry because they need the money. That's what they're doing. And you know what? Some of these shortages have benefits. For instance, when you're short on something, you usually go invent something else, or you find a substitution for it. So we're able to come up with things like electric cars, solar energy, wind energy, vacuum packaging, plastic bags instead of paper, water filters. Shortages inspire people. And you know what happens when you inspire people and invent things? Prices of other things come down. Myth number 4, recycling protects the environment. Protects who? When these, you know, when they come by your house to pick up these, it's usually once a week. Some cities have twice a week, okay? So they're doubling the amount of trucks that they need to do this. So what do these trucks have in them? They have oil, they have gas, so they have emissions. So now we are polluting the air because of this second trip to pick this up. All right, so now they pick up this box, they take it to the place where they manufacture these items. Well, these manufacturing machines got to run on something. Electricity, gas, more fumes, more emissions. You can't tell me that that is better off than just throwing it away. And speaking of cost, recycling is cheaper? According to Benjamin's article, recycling actually costs 35 to 45% more than just throwing it away. In fact, most states lose money doing this. They won't tell you this, but most states lose money because the government is subsidizing the program. It could never exist on itself. And here's a fact. Grab my bottle here. Did you know, according to the New York Times Business Week article that I read, plastic bottles, do you know what happens to these? We don't do anything with these in the United States. We ship them to China, and China makes fabric out of these. That's what we do. It's one of our biggest exports of recycling goods. And do you want to know who's making the money in recycling? It's not you, and it certainly isn't me. Companies like this. Coca-Cola, Heinz, Starbucks. You know what they're doing? They're not getting into the drink and food business as much. They're getting into the recycling business. They're actually opening plants for recycling. That's why on every bottle it says, please recycle, please return it. They're even providing containers for you. And all of this work and this job that they can give places to, that didn't go up, okay. They're making the money and they're passing the cost on to you. That's what they're doing. More money. And not only that, government regulations are coming where it's going to mandate that all of these companies have to use recycled materials. So they're just ahead of the game. So they're making all the money. In closing, I'll tell you a little story about my childhood. We used to get milk delivered to the house twice a week, in a glass bottle. It came in a milk bottle case that the milkman would deliver it with ice. And when you were done with the milk, you returned the bottles back into the milk case, and he would pick those up. And they would take them back, sanitize them, and reuse them. We used to buy eggs. Eggs would come in a bamboo basket. When you were done with that bamboo basket, you gave it back, and you got another one. And coffee used to always be sold in a can. Now, we didn't return the can, but you know what? We used those cans for all kinds of things. We kept tools in the garage, nuts, bolts, and what have you, change. If we are not hurting the environment with landfills, and we have plenty of room for trash, and we can eliminate unnecessary recycling pollution and take all this waste of time and all this waste of money and put it into something important like education, we don't need to recycle. We need to reuse and wake up. Thank you. All right, let me show that you guys are still here. Yeah.
Good speech, Chef.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Take two.